The jungle of Turvac. 9 was not alive in the way Earth's forests were. It was awake, hostile, listening. Captain Elias Rourke moved carefully through the knee-high ferns, pulse steady, rifle lowered but ready. Above him, trees the size of skyscrapers stretched into mist, their bark blackened and slick with fungal veins that pulsed faintly as if blood flowed beneath. He had seen wild world before, but this one carried a weight in the air, a presence that pressed down like invisible claws. His calm crackled in his ear. Rourke, status? It was Lieutenant Gray, orbiting with the Terran team aboard the survey craft. Still breathing. Elias murmured, eyes scanning the tree line. Ground stable. Atmosphere breathable with filters. Visibility's a nightmare. He didn't mention the sound. Every few minutes a deep vibration rolled through the jungle. Not quite thunder, not quite animal. Something massive was out there. In orbit, another set of eyes watched. Commander Verixal de Caval leaned over a holoscreen, pupils narrowing as a human feed streamed into his warship. His subordinates stood rigid, respectful. They actually stepped on the surface. One hissed. No species survives Turvac's jungles. Not for long. Varric's tongue flicked across his teeth. Humans do not survive. They linger, they test, they throw themselves at fate until something gives way. Arrogant primates. Watch how swiftly the jungle corrects them. Back on the ground, Elias adjusted his pack and pressed forward. His boots sank into soil rich with decay, each step sinking with a sucking noise. He paused when a streak of crimson caught his eye on a moss-covered log. He crouched, brushed it with his glove. Blood, still warm. He froze. The silence deepened around him, as though the forest itself held its breath. Then came the sound, branches cracking, a low guttural snarl, heavy dragging steps. Elias raised his rifle, body tense. From the shadow of a hollow tree, it emerged. The Vraskari. He had read the reports. Apex predator of Turvac, 9, 6-limbed, armored hide, claws capable of splitting armor plate. But no briefing prepared him for its presence. It was colossal, shoulders higher than his chest, obsidian skin glistening with rain, eyes glowing amber through the mist. Its breathing rasped like broken machinery. And it was hurt. One forelimb dragged behind, blood pouring from a gash that exposed sinew and muscle. Its chest heaved, each exhale a growl, yet it staggered, not lunged. A predator at its peak should have torn him apart already. But this one teetered, half blind from pain. Elias aimed, finger on the trigger. One squeeze and it would be over. Safe. Logical. Instead, he lowered the weapon. He didn't understand why. Perhaps it was the way the beast's ribs shuddered with effort, or the faint tremor in its legs. Fear told him to retreat. Training told him to fire. But something else, older and quieter, anchored him there. His calm whispered again. Rourke, you've gone silent. I've found something, he replied, sending visuals. The live feed flickered into orbit. In the Caval ship, officers leaned closer, eyes widening. A human stood not 30 feet from Vraskari, and it had not killed him. Madness, one spat. Not madness, Varric muttered, his jaw tightening. Curiosity, the most dangerous human trait. Elias slowly knelt, setting his rifle across his knees. His heart hammered against his ribs, but his hands moved with purpose. He unzipped his pack, pulled out a ration bar sealed in foil. He tore it open, the scent of protein paste wafting into the humid air. The Vraskari's head snapped toward him. Its eyes burned, jaws parting to reveal rows of serrated teeth dripping with blood. It snarled, the sound rolling like thunder. Elias didn't flinch. He extended the bar at arm's length, palm up, voice calm though his chest ached with fear. Easy, big guy. Not here to hurt you. The predator staggered forward, claws sinking into soil. Each step shook the ground. Elias kept his gaze steady, not challenging, not submissive, balanced. 10 feet. 5. Its breath washed over him, foul with rot and blood. The Vraskari lowered its head, teeth inches from his hand. Take it, Elias whispered. The beast snapped, but not at him. It seized a ration, jaws crunching once, twice, then swallowing. Elias exhaled slowly, resisting the urge to collapse. His arm trembled as he reached again into his pack, pulling another. This time, the Vraskari didn't growl. It waited. Somewhere above the canopy, the Caval bridge erupted in disbelief. It accepts food? One officer gasped. From prey. Varric's claws tapped against the arm of his chair, thoughtful, unsettled. Not prey. Not predator. Something else. On the ground, Elias inched closer. He saw the wound clearly now, a brutal slash across the forelimb, likely from another predator's ambush. Blood still pulsed, not yet clotted. Infection was certain without treatment. He spoke softly, words steady like he was soothing a spooked horse. Looks bad. Let me help. The Vraskari's gaze fixed on him, a molten amber that seemed to weigh his intent. Then it lowered itself slightly, a movement so alien yet unmistakable. Permission. Elias swallowed hard. He set the rifle aside completely and reached for his medkit. The forest roared again in the distance, another predator's call echoing through the mist. The Vroskari twitched, but did not rise. It stayed where it was, trusting in a way that defied every natural law of this world. Elias cleaned the wound, hands moving quick and precise. The creature shuddered when disinfectant touched raw flesh, but it did not strike. It endured. He sealed the gash with coagulant gel, wrapping a field bandage around the massive limb. His arm strained just to pull the strip tight. When he finished, he leaned back, breath ragged, staring at the beast. It stared back. For a long moment, neither moved. Then the Vroskari lowered its massive head until its snout was inches from his chest. Elias froze. The beast inhaled once, hot breath rattling against his filters, then turned away, settling onto its haunches with guttural rumble that almost sounded like relief. Elias sat in silence, adrenaline surging. He realized only then that his calm was still alive. Gray's voice came through, hushed, incredulous. "Rourke, what the hell did you just do?" Elias exhaled, finally allowing a small, grim smile. "May a friend, I think." In orbit, Commander Varick's expression darkened. The impossible had occurred. A human had fed Vroskari and lived. Worse, the predator had accepted. He whispered to himself, voice cold with foreboding. If the galaxy learns of this, fear will never serve us again. The jungle's nightfall came quickly. Shadows thickened until the air itself seemed heavy, choked by mist and the glow of bioluminescent fungi that crawled up the trunks. Elias sat cross-legged a few meters from Vroskari, fireless, weapon close at hand but untouched. The beast had curled against a tree, massive chest rising and falling in ragged rhythm. Its wound glistened where the bandage clung, damp from blood and humidity. He should have been running for extraction. Every survival instinct screamed at him to put distance between himself and the monster before it regained its strength. Yet he remained, watching. Something about the way it endured, the way it hadn't struck him when it easily could have, pressed him to stay. He whispered, voice barely above the jungle hum. "Not sure why I'm still here either. Iron Fong." The name slipped out again, unplanned but natural. The beast twitched an ear, gave a low rumble that could have been annoyance or acknowledgement. His calm clicked. Gray's voice carried a note of panic. "Rourke, command wants answers. Did you just feed a Vroskari? Our sensors confirm proximity at less than 10 meters. Elias kept his eyes on the predator. Confirmed. Silence on the line. Then a strained laugh. "You're insane. Those things are extinction events with claws." "Maybe," Elias muttered, "but it's bleeding, dying. Everything on this world either eats or gets eaten. Maybe I'm showing another option." Gray lowered his tone. "And if it decides you're the option on the menu?" Elias didn't reply. His gaze held steady on Iron Fong, who shifted, eyes half-lidded but still glowing faint through the dark, above the planet. On the Kaval flagship, Commander Varick listened as human transmissions fed into his console. The bridge crew exchanged uneasy looks. "Commander," one officer said, "the human speaks to it as if it understands. He risks everything for a beast." Varick's jaw tightened. "No, he risks more than that. He risks our order. If a Vroskari bends, even briefly, then the fear we cultivate across the spiral weakens. The other species believe these monsters untamable. If humanity proves otherwise," he hissed low, "our grip slips." Morning on Turvac, 9 arrived in violent bursts of sound. Birds the size of men screamed from the canopy, wings thrashing. Insects whirred like chainsaws. Elias rubbed sleep from his eyes, muscles aching from a night of half-alert rest. Iron Fong had not moved far. The predator's wound still leaked, though less heavily than before. When Elias shifted closer, it growled once, low warning. He stopped, raised both hands. "All right, your space. But we need to clean that again." He reached slowly into his kit, drew out another ration bar, and set it on the ground between them. The beast's nostrils flared. It snapped up the offering, swallowed, then fixed him with unblinking amber eyes. "Yeah," Elias muttered, pulling gloves on. "Payment first, then treatment." Step by step, he edged forward. This time, when he touched the bandage, Iron Fang's muscles tensed but held. He peeled it back, replaced it with a cleaner wrap, reapplied coagulant. Every move deliberate, calm. "You're letting me, aren't you?" he said quietly. "Because you figured out I'm not here to finish you off." The predator's only answer was stillness. But for a creature built to tear apart tanks, stillness was consent enough. Hours later, the jungle tested them both. A ripple of motion slithered through the underbrush. Elias rose, weapon ready. From the shadows burst a pack of razorback quadrupeds, each the size of wolves, eyes glowing with hunger. Elias fired short bursts, dropping 1, 2, but the pack circled fast. He stumbled back, heart pounding. Then Iron Fong surged forward with a roar that shook leaves from branches. The Vroskari moved despite its injury, slamming one predator into a tree with bone-crunching force, snapping another in his jaws. Blood sprayed, the jungle echoing with screams. The survivors scattered. Silence rushed back, broken only by Elias's sharp breaths. Iron Fong limped back, sides heaving. Its chest was streaked with new cuts, but it returned to Elias's side, not the shadows. "You saved me," Elias whispered, lowering his rifle. He couldn't disguise the awe in his voice. "You could have stayed back, let them tear me up, but you didn't." The predator collapsed onto its haunches, head lowering as though exhaustion weighed it down. Elias, against all reason, reached out. His gloved hand brushed the rough skin at its jawline. For a heartbeat, Iron Fong didn't react. Then it rumbled deep in his throat, not anger, something closer to acknowledgement. In orbit, the Caval crew stared at the live feed, horrified. "It defends him," one officer said. "The Vraskari fights a human." Varric's claws dug into the armrest of his chair. "No, this cannot be allowed. If word spreads, the foundation of our rule cracks." Elias sat beside the beast as dusk fell again, a strange calm threading through the terror. He spoke softly, not be understood but to anchor himself. "You're not just some mindless killing machine, are you? Maybe you're as tired of this endless cycle as I am." He chuckled once, grim and quiet. "Back home, they said humans survive because we adapt. Maybe this is just another form of adaptation, not by fighting, but by standing together." Iron Fang's ear twitched at the sound of his voice. It closed its eyes, chest still rising, still alive. Elias leaned back against the roots of a massive tree, exhaustion washing through him. He knew he should feel terror, should be planning escape routes, should be preparing for the inevitable betrayal of instinct when the predator regained strength. But instead, he felt strange comfort. In orbit, Commander Varric gave his decision. Prepare a ground detachment. Test the human's bond. Either the Vraskari reverts to its true nature and rips them apart, or we eliminate them both. Either way, this ends. His officers saluted, though unease rippled across the bridge. None want to be the one facing the impossible sight. A human sitting calmly beside a monster that should have shredded him hours ago. The jungle's night pressed close again. Elias adjusted the bandage on his arm, where one of the smaller predators had grazed him. Pain throbbed, but his focus stayed on the giant at his side. He whispered as sleep tugged at him. "Guess we're partners now, Iron Fong. Don't make me regret it." The Vraskari stirred, then settled again, a sound rumbling from its chest like distant thunder. Not threat, something else. Elias closed his eyes, realizing he was resting within arm's reach of a legend of terror. And for the first time since landing on Turvac 9, he didn't feel alone. Elias woke to a sound that wasn't jungle. Mechanical, rhythmic, the faint whine of repulsors carried through the trees like an omen. He stiffened, hand closing around his rifle before his eyes were even open. Iron Fong stirred too, nostrils flaring, ears swiveling. The predator rose to its feet, towering over Elias despite the limp in its stride. Its golden eyes glowed in the dim dawn light. The jungle's creatures fled into silence. "Not good," Elias muttered, pressing a hand to the beast's flank. "We got company." A crimson shimmer bled through the mist ahead, followed by armored figures breaking the tree line. Caval soldiers, helmets marked with jagged sigils, weapons raised. Their leader's voice crackled from a loudspeaker. "Human, step away from the Vraskari. This is your final warning." Elias didn't move. He raised his rifle halfway, not toward Iron Fong, but toward the approaching line. "You'll have to repeat that. Bad reception down here." The squad fanned out, boots sinking into the muck, rifles humming with charged plasma. Iron Fong growled low, the sound resonant enough to vibrate in Elias's chest. The lead soldier barked again. "This creature is a threat to the galaxy. Stand down, and we will grant you a merciful extraction." Elias gave a sharp laugh. "Yeah, that's funny, because yesterday, that same threat kept me from being torn apart. Where were you then?" The Vraskari edged closer to him, its massive shoulder brushing against his side. Not shielding, not restraining, just present. The soldiers hesitated, their grips tightening. Elias called out, voice louder now. "If you came expecting a monster, you're late. You'll have to settle for a partnership." The nearest soldier sneered. "You've lost your mind." "Maybe," Elias said evenly, "but at least I haven't lost my humanity." In orbit, Commander Varric's eyes narrowed as the feed streamed across his display. The sight of a Vraskari standing at a human side unsettled even him, though he would never admit aloud. His second-in-command leaned closer. "Sir, the human refuses to yield. The soldiers await your command." Varric's claws tapped the console. "Push him. Force the beast to show its nature. Either it tears him apart, or it dies before his eyes. Either outcome proves our order intact." The order was relayed. Below, the Caval squad advanced. A bolt of plasma sizzled past Elias's shoulder, striking the dirt with a hiss. He ducked instinctively, rolling into cover behind a gnarled root. Iron Fong roared, charging forward despite the pain in its flank. The ground shook as it slammed into the nearest soldier, sending armor and bone crunching against a tree. "Hold fire, damn it." Elias shouted, but the air was already filled with blue bolts. He returned fire, precise and sharp. One soldier dropped, then another, smoke curling from scorched armor. Iron Fong fought like a storm unleashed, claws shredding metal, tail whipping with bone-breaking force. Yet Elias saw the toll immediately. The beast's wound reopened, blood splattering as it moved. Every strike costed dearly. Fall back, Iron Fong, Elias shouted, even as he cut down another Caval trooper. You're not built for this right now. But the Predator ignored him, fighting as though some instinct demanded to protect him. The last two soldiers regrouped, heavy cannons whirring to life. Elias's heart lurched. Those weapons could shear through starship plating. He sprinted forward, sliding behind Iron Fong. No, you're not dying here. He raised his rifle, overclocked the power cell, and squeezed. The shot burned white-hot, tearing one cannon in half before the weapon overloaded and spat sparks. Iron Fong lunged at the final trooper, jaws snapping shut around the weapon arm. The soldier screamed before vanishing under the weight of the Predator. Silence crashed over the clearing, broken only by the ragged pant of the Vroskari and the soft crackle of burning undergrowth. Elias lowered his rifle, chest heaving. Around him, the bodies of soldiers steamed in the damp air. You absolute lunatic, he muttered, looking at Iron Fong. You fought with me. The beast staggered, one leg buckling before it sank heavily onto its haunches. Blood poured freely now. Elias cursed under his breath, stripping his pack open. Hold on. Don't you quit on me now. From orbit, Varric's claws raked deep furrows into the armrest. The bridge was silent, officers staring at the feed as the impossible unfolded. Again. It killed them, one whispered. But it didn't kill him. Varric rose, voice cold. No, it defends him. That is worse. This bond undermines everything. If the Vroskari can be tamed, then the fear we built collapses. Another officer shifted uneasily. Sir, perhaps the fear could be redirected. A human with such an ally could. Enough. Varric's voice cut sharp. Send word to all fleets. This is not to spread. And prepare another team. This time, we erased them both from existence. Elias worked feverishly, hands slick with blood as he sealed the wound again. He whispered the whole time, not sure if it soothed the beast or himself. You stubborn bastard. You didn't have to fight for me. But you did. And that means something, whether the galaxy wants to admit it or not. Iron Fang's chest rose shallowly, eyes dimming. But it didn't pull away as Elias pressed a sealant into the wound. Stay with me. Just a little longer. The Predator's breath rattled once, then steadied. Faint but alive. Elias leaned back, exhausted, staring at the carnage around them. His rifle's battery was drained. His pack was nearly empty. But Iron Fong was alive. And so was he. The jungle slowly returned to its symphony, as though nothing extraordinary had happened. But Elias knew better. Something impossible had taken root here. In blood, in trust, in defiance. He met the beast's weary gaze. They'll come again. Stronger, angrier. Doesn't matter. You and me, Iron Fong, we're not done yet. The Vroskari rumbled faintly, a sound Elias could almost mistake for agreement. Above, far beyond the canopy's reach, Varric's warship turned in orbit, already plotting another descent. Dawn bled across Turvac, 9 in streaks of silver and green. Mist clung to the forest floor, turning every shadow into a lurking threat. Elias crouched beside Iron Fong, checking the makeshift bandages again. The beast's wound had slowed to a sluggish seep, but its movements were still stiff, its strength only half returned. You're healing, Elias muttered, pulling his hand back, but not fast enough. They'll come again before you're ready. Iron Fong lifted its massive head, nostrils flaring. Its eyes caught the thin shafts of light like molten gold. The Predator rumbled low, a sound that carried warning and intent. You sense them too, don't you? Elias asked. He shouldered his rifle. Yeah, I figured. The calm at his belt clicked alive with Gray's voice. Static broke the edges, but the urgency was clear. Rourke, the Caval are mobilizing. Bigger force, heavier arms. They want both of you gone. Of course they do, Elias said under his breath. Command stance. Conflicted, Gray replied. Half think you're insane. The other half think you might have pulled off something unprecedented. Either way, they can't risk full-scale intervention yet. You're on your own until I can convince someone with stars on their collar. Elias exhaled slowly. Copy that. Tell them this isn't just about me. The Caval know what this means if it gets out. The channel cut. Elias glanced at Iron Fong. Looks like it's just us again. The Vroskari blinked, slow and deliberate, as if affirming the truth. Far above, on the Caval flagship, Commander Varric stood before a hollow map of the planet. Red markers clustered around the coordinates of Elias and his unlikely ally. This time, Varric said, voice steady, we deploy armor, flamecasters. Bring the jungle down if you must. No witnesses, no survivors. His officers hesitated. One finally spoke. Sir, what if destroying them only strengthens a human's legend? If other species here to stand, of a Vraskari choosing him. Varric cut him off with a hiss. There will be no legend if nothing remains. Erase him. Erase the beast. Then bury the truth. Orders relayed. Dropships readied. Elias led Ironfang through a ravine carpeted with moss and ferns. The terrain offered cover, but it also risked entrapment. He knew the Cabal would descend soon, and he needed every advantage. You're big, Elias muttered to Predator, but even you can't fight a full platoon head-on. We need a different approach. Ironfang lowered its head, sniffing the ground. Then it pressed forward, deeper into the ravine, as if it knew a path Elias didn't. You got instincts, Elias said, following. Fine. Led on. The jungle tightened around him, branches clawing at his shoulders, roots tangling his boots. Ironfang moved with surprising grace, despite its bulk, weaving through narrow gaps, vanishing into mist like a shadow. Elias realized then, the predator wasn't just brawn. It knew this world's rhythms, its dangers, its hiding places. They emerged into a cavern carved into the ravine wall, lit faintly by glowing fungi. Elias scanned the walls. Ancient claw marks etched the stone, deep gouges that spoke of battles long past. A den, he whispered. Yours. Ironfang gave no sign of recognition, only laid down with deliberate heaviness. The cavern provided shelter, concealment, and a defensible position. For now, it would do. The respite didn't last. The ground trembled hours later, distant but growing. Elias pressed the cavern entrance, squinting through the mist. Dark shapes descended from the sky, engines growling low. Dropships. At least 3. Here we go, Elias said grimly. He checked his rifle. Half charge left in the cell. Hardly enough. His grenades were gone. His sidearm was little more than a noisemaker at this point. Ironfang rose slowly, favoring its injured side, but its posture was unmistakable. Ready. No, Elias told it. You're not at full strength. We can't charge into them. We have to think. The beast gave a low growl, as though disagreeing. Yeah, I figured you'd say that. Elias drew a deep breath. Fine. We fight smart. Ambush misdirection. I'll give them targets. You finish the job when they overextend. Deal. The Vraskari's rumble deepened. A sound Elias had learned to interpret as consent. The first squad moved into the ravine with precision, flamethrowers belching arcs of fire into foliage. The jungle screamed as trees crackled and vines shriveled. Elias fired from cover, dropping one soldier before rolling deeper into shadow. The Cabal shouted in harsh tones, scattering to flank. Ironfang struck like a phantom. From the mist, it lunged, jaws snapping shut around a soldier's torso, lifting him from the ground before hurling the body into another. Claws ripped armor like paper. The Cabal opened fire, bolts scorching the cavern wall, where Elias had stood seconds earlier. He popped up behind a root, firing a precise burst into their rear line. Another trooper fell. Push them. Elias shouted. Don't give them ground. Ironfang roared, the sound reverberating like thunder through stone. It slammed into a flamethrower, tail whipping another enemy into the ravine wall. But the Cabal adapted. Heavy cannons were set, shields locked in place. Plasma fire hammered the cavern mouth, forcing Elias to dive for cover. His rifle whined in protest, nearly drained. They're pinning us, he hissed. Ironfang crouched, muscles coiling despite the pain, and launched forward in a blur. Plasma seared its side, burning flesh. But the predator did not stop. It tore through the shield wall, scattering soldiers, breaking the line with sheer ferocity. Elias surged forward too, emptying the last of his rifle into the disoriented squad. Smoke and screams filled the ravine. When the last soldier fell, silence crashed down again. Elias dropped behind a boulder, chest heaving. His rifle was dead weight now. Ironfang limped back to him, its side charred, blood dripping anew, yet its eyes still burned, unbroken. You're killing yourself, Elias whispered, pressing a hand to the beast's flank. You can't keep this up. The Vraskari lowered its head until its massive skull was level with Elias's. For a moment, man and predator regarded one another in silence. You're telling me we keep fighting, Elias said softly, that we don't stop no matter what they throw at us. Ironfang rumbled in answer. Above, Commander Varric slammed his fist against console. Reports scrolled across the hollow. Another squad decimated. Losses unacceptable. This ends now, he snarled. No more containment. Level the entire sector. Burn it to ash. His officers exchanged uneasy looks. One finally spoke, hesitant. Commander, destroying so much of the surface will not go unnoticed by the other species. The humans will know. Let them know, Varric spat. Better they fear us than believe in myths of friendship with monsters. His gaze fixed on the image of Elias beside the Vraskari. A man and a beast, standing where no one should. They die together, he vowed. Elias watched the horizon glow red as fire bloomed from the treetops, dropships releasing incendiaries. The jungle screamed again, this time in one endless roar. He gritted his teeth. They're bringing everything. And they won't stop until we're ashes. Iron Fong stood beside him, battered, bleeding, yet unbowed. The predator let out a low growl that rolled like distant thunder. Elias lifted his useless rifle, tossed it aside, and drew his sidearm. All right then, we make our stand. Together. The beasts. The jungle burned. Flames climbed the canopy in furious tongues, black smoke choking the sky. The shrieks of dying creatures blended with the deep roar of collapsing trees. Elias stumbled through the inferno, sidearm clenched, lung searing. Beside him, Iron Fong pushed forward with grim determination, its bulk silhouetted against the fire. Every step shook with pain, but still it moved, unwilling to yield. Overhead, Caval dropships circled like carrion birds. Plasma cannons thundered, sending arcs of fire ripping across the ground. The entire sector was becoming a furnace. They're not even trying to capture us anymore, Elias shouted through the roar. This is extermination. Iron Fong loosed a guttural bellow, the sound defiant even against the sky's thunder. Elias forced his legs to keep moving, mind racing. No weapons left, no cover, no chance against an army. Unless... He glanced up at the circling ships, an idea searing into him like the heat. We don't have to win. We just have to make them fear the truth. In orbit, Commander Varric leaned forward on a command chair, eyes fixed on the feed. The firestorm painted Turvac, 9 in chaos. Where is the human? He demanded. Still alive, sir, an officer replied. The beast shielded him. Varric's teeth bared, then crushed them. No hesitation. Elias dragged himself and Iron Fong into the skeleton of an old growth hollowed by age. The flames curved around its damp walls but could not consume it. For a moment, they had shelter. Iron Fong collapsed heavily onto the earth, chest heaving. Its side was scorched, blood matting its hide. Elias dropped to his knees beside it, panic clawing at his chest. Stay with me, he urged, pressing a hand to its skin. Don't give up now. The beast's golden eyes opened, dim but steady. It exhaled a rattling breath, then nudged him with its massive skull. The motion was weak but deliberate. You're still with me, Elias whispered. He clenched his jaw. Then we finish this together. The calm crackled again. Gray's voice bled through static, strained and urgent. Elias. Command intercepted Caval chatter. They want to erase all evidence of you and the Vroskari. If you can get a visual uplink, anything, they can't bury it. The truth will spread. Elias stared at the comm, then at Iron Fong. That's it. We don't need to beat them. We just need to show them. He clipped the comm to his vest, looked Iron Fong in the eye. Ready for one last stunt? The predator rose slowly, every muscle trembling, but it stood. They emerged from a hollow as the dropships descended, weapons primed. The ground shook with their landing. Dozens of armored soldiers poured out, shields raised, flamethrowers hissing. Elias climbed onto Iron Fang's back, gripping a ridge of scarred hide. The beast turned its gaze skyward, and for one breathtaking moment, man and predator faced a storm as one. The comm light blinked red, live transmission. Elias raised his voice, raw but steady. This is Captain Elias Rourke of the Terran Expeditionary Force. You're seeing this live. The Vroskar you all call a nightmare, it fights with me, not against me. It chose. He leaned forward, hand pressed to Iron Fang's neck. And if humanity can stand beside even this, then nothing in the galaxy can dictate our limits. The soldiers faltered. Their commander barked orders, but hesitation rippled through the line. They weren't seeing a monster anymore. They were seeing something worse with Caval. Possibility. Iron Fong roared, a sound that shook the smoke itself. Elias leveled his sidearm. Even though he knew it was useless, the image alone was enough. In orbit, the feed spilled across every channel the Caval tried to silence. Varric snarled, but his officers exchanged uneasy glances. The sight of a Vroskari bearing a human rider was a seed of rebellion too potent to erase. Shut it down, Varric roared. Destroy the transmission. It's already spread to outer relays, one officer whispered. Varric's claws gouged metal. Then bury them in fire, so at least their corpses cannot inspire. The order was given. The dropships unleashed hell. Plasma rained down, earth-shattering, fire sweeping. Iron Fong charged forward, every step fueled by fury and defiance. Elias clung tight, firing his pistol, though the shots barely scratched armor. But it didn't matter. The galaxy was watching. Soldiers scattered under the Vroskari's charge. Claws ripped shields, tails shattered weapons. The beast bled freely, but it fought like legend, every blow buying another heartbeat of defiance. Elias shouted above the chaos. They see us, Iron Fong. They'll remember this. No matter what happens now, we've already won. The predator roared again, a sound not of rage but of allegiance. Then the sky split. A plasma lance from orbit screamed down, slamming into the ravine. The world erupted. Silence followed. Smoke curled from the crater, where fire had consumed everything. The jungle lay scorched, the air heavy with ash. For long minutes, there was no movement. Then, from the edge of ruin, a figure staggered. Elias, burned, bloodied, but alive. He dragged himself upright, coughing, vision swimming. Behind him, Iron Fong rose too, half buried in debris, one leg shattered, hide torn. Still alive, still unbroken. Elias pressed a hand to the beast's side, leaning on it for support. We're not dead yet. Guess that'll disappoint them. The comm still blinked, weak but alive. The transmission carried every word, every image, across the stars. On worlds far from Turvac, 9 screens flickered. Civilians, soldiers, rebels, all watched as a human stood beside of Roskari, both battered but alive, refusing to fall. Whispers spread faster than fire. They tamed the untamable. They befriended the impossible. On Kaval flagship, Varric stared at the images with fury that bordered on fear. He knew what came next. No amount of fire could erase what the galaxy had now seen. Elias leaned his head against Iron Fang's hide, exhaustion pressing him down. They'll come again, but so will others. We've lit the spark. Iron Fang rumbled faintly, a sound that seemed almost like approval. Together, man and predator stood in the ash of a dead jungle, alive where neither should be. Their survival was not victory in itself, but the legend had already taken root, and legends, Elias knew, were harder to kill than any beast.